Hi, today I'm going to take you through a very important as well as a very interesting subject called rural marketing. The reason why we are studying rural marketing is because India today is huge and most of India comprises of the rural consumers. Most of the people in India are residing in villages even today, and even though urban India is progressing, along with the urban counterparts, the rural counterparts are also progressing. There is tremendous scope and opportunities for most of the organizations in the corporate sector to venture into the rural market and come up with successful rural marketing strategies to tap that market, because it is an upcoming market, it is a growing market, and it requires a lot of things which the corporate can serve to. So let's first have a look at the syllabus for rural marketing. I'm going to take you through the first chapter, which will talk about the conceptual framework in rural marketing. Then we're going to talk about the rural market, an introduction to it and its segmentation. Then we'll talk about rural marketing research, how research is carried out in the rural markets. Then we'll talk about the rural consumer behavior, how it's different from the urban consumers. We're going to then talk about the rural marketing mix and the new product development. We're going to then do the product life cycle and brand management in the rural market. We're going to talk about rural retailing. We're going to see some marketing strategies for the Indian rural market. We're going to see how can you do rural marketing of FMCGs, rural marketing of financial services, marketing of agricultural inputs and produce, and we're also finally going to touch upon e-rural marketing and e-governance for rural India. So now, since we are familiar with what the course structure for this subject is, let's go ahead and start the first chapter, which is rural marketing, a conceptual framework. Now, talking about rural marketing, what do we understand by the word rural? Now, there's no one single answer to this question, because there are different experts and different organizations that have different views which give the term rural a different meaning altogether. So, rural is a group of people who are traditionalists in outlook, rooted in land, and who resist change. This is a kind of definition from the sociology point of view. So, what sociology says is a group of people who are very traditional in behavior, in outlook, who are rooted in the land. For them, land is everything. For them, they are very down to earth people. They don't like a lot of changes. That's nothing but rural. But if we talk about the census of India 2001, they say that rural is anything that is not urban. So all locations within a municipality or corporation, cantonment board or a notified town area committee, all locations that have a minimum population of 5,000, at least 75% of the male workforce is engaged in non-agricultural activities, and a population density of over 4,000 persons per square kilometer is rural. So different experts have different views, but of course, as we have understood that rural is something which is very different from urban. Talking about rural marketing, now rural marketing in simple words is the process of developing, pricing, promoting, distributing rural specific goods and services, leading to an exchange between the urban and the rural markets, which satisfies the consumer demand and also achieves organizational objectives. Now, in rural marketing, what we do is we develop a product, we price it as per the rural market, promote it in their particular ways, distribute rural specific goods and services. This does not mean that the goods and services are completely different from the urban, but they are just tailored and altered as per the needs of the rural people. A toothpaste is used by an urban consumer as well as a rural consumer, but the needs and wants of an urban consumer and a rural consumer will be very different, and that's why we term it as rural specific goods and services. This leads to an exchange between the urban and the rural markets. So what happens is companies like your Colgate, your HUL, ITC, they sell their products in the rural markets, and the rural people purchase their products. That's why there is an exchange that takes place. This satisfies the consumer demand, and it also achieves the organizational objectives of earning more profits and gaining market share in the rural areas. So you do nothing but you just plan and implement the marketing function for rural areas. So it's always a two-way process, where there are business activities involved, and the flow of goods is from the urban areas to the rural areas in case of manufactured goods. And when there is agricultural produce, the flow of goods is from the rural areas to the urban areas. Now, talking about the different phases of rural marketing, the first phase that we had seen was from independence to green revolution. This was also called agricultural marketing because before the green revolution, everything that was spoken about was of agriculture. Rural India was seen as a market where the prime occupation of the people was agriculture. The major products that they sold, that was sold and that could be bought from them was agricultural produce. The market was the rural market, which was the main source, and the target market was the urban market. But as we saw phase 2 coming in, where there was which is green revolution to pre-liberalization, what we saw is green revolution brought about a complete change altogether, and rural marketing now represented marketing of agricultural inputs in the rural markets and marketing of rural produce in the urban markets. So the source market was now the urban market, and the target market was now the rural market. In phase 3, which was post-liberalization period in the 20th century, this was when actually rural marketing began. Here the major products were the consumer durables, which were produced and consumed by the rural consumers. The source market became both urban and rural market, and the target market now was rural marketing. So, learning from its experiences after independence, the corporate world finally realized some solutions and approaches that would give results in the rural market. And if the organization wanted to actually tap the real potential of the rural market, they had to make long-term commitment with this market. So they came up with approaches and strategies that focused on not just selling the products and services, but also creating an environment so that they could make the people aware about the products and services and make them actually come and buy. This approach was successfully demonstrated by HUL's Project Shakti, ITC's e-Chopal, the Tara Hart, Amaron batteries, the Amaragaon campaign, etc. So the main objective of rural marketing that actually came was in the phase 4 of the 21st century. So all these things happened in the 21st century, which was nothing but developmental marketing, where you had all products and services. You had your banking services, you have your automobiles, you had internet services, everything coming in the rural market. You had channels like MTV, you had McDonald's for that matter, everything venturing in the rural market. So, the objective of rural marketing in the current phase, which is phase 4, is improvement in the quality of life by satisfying the needs and wants of the customers, not only by products and services, but by coming up with comprehensive and some very good solutions which would involve some interrelated products and services. Because in a rural dominated country like India, where around 40% of the population is poor, the concept of rural marketing has to be developmental in nature. Business organizations have to consider how to integrate the rural areas in their business model so that they have a win-win situation on both sides. If you deliver a better standard of living and enhance the quality of life in an efficient manner, that's the role of rural marketing in the 21st century. And the rural salesperson is much more than a mere order taker. He's actually the carrier of the development message to the less informed rural population.